My name is Luke Esquivel. I'm a state certified massage therapist. I'm the owner and operator of Pain Management Massage Therapy in Pinole, California. Well, as I said, I was working at a corporation in Fairfield, not far from here, and I was going to work every day, and I would come in and I would work with a stack of files at my computer, and I would be on my phone all day and putting notes on the files and into the computer system, and it was pretty monotonous. It got a little grueling. And it was sort of rinse and repeat every day. And fortunately, I had made friends with someone who it was in the cubicle next to me, and he happened to be a certified massage therapist from another state, or another area actually. And he had not established a practice because he was new to the area, so he was working, working to make a living. And he had encouraged me to go and tour one of the schools in the area. And so I did because I trusted this guy, and he was a put together fella. And so he encouraged me, convinced me to go look at a massage therapy college in the area. So I went to one, and I looked one evening, and I got to sit in on the class, which was really nice. I got to see the teachers interacting with the students, and I got to see him doing some hands-on work, like a demo in class, and everyone was sort of sitting around watching the sequence and asking questions, and it just seemed like a really, really stimulating environment. And it seemed like an environment that there was a lot of people in that class that I felt were very hungry to learn something like this. And it was a positive environment, and it resonated with me. And so I ended up signing up for it, and I went to school at night for that while I worked for the corporation during the day. And that's how I became a massage therapist. When I graduated from the National Holistic Institute in Emeryville, California. And I'm a state certified massage therapist, not only through that college, but also with the state of California. In Sacramento, I am also a state certified massage therapist. Well, I do consider myself to be a very kinesthetic person. I like to work with my hands. So this turned out to be a really great job for me. It kind of made sense in the long, once I realized that how kinesthetic I was. But I have really enjoyed working with my hands during this time in this field. It's been interesting to watch the progression of my own skill level as a massage therapist over the last decade or so, and to watch my skills sort of get better as time goes on too. I always tell people, somebody asked me the other day during a massage session, how do you know where to find these tight muscles when you can't see what you're working with, And I say, well, I have to sort of touch to gain knowledge. My fingertips are actually, for all intents and purposes, my eyes while I'm working with someone. And you have to be able to get that information with your fingertips, and then you have to be able to sort of figure out what you have to make sense of it. So my fingertips sort of gather the information, and I'm sort of deciphering it in my head during a session while we're working. And I'm telling that tells me if I'm working in a tight area, or if this area or this muscle fiber is loosening or not, or these kinds of things. Yeah, I'm a very I do enjoy working with my hands. I find it enjoyable. I get to work on a one-on-one basis with my clients, which I really enjoy. And fortunately, there are really great people in the area who live here. I grew up here, so I know it's a great working class crew of people who just really need some good maintenance for their bodies. And it's a great. I'm very happy to be situated where I am here in Pinole, California, working with a great group of people that I get to work with every day. I started this business in 2006 when I graduated from National Holistic Institute in Emeryville. And pretty much about 6 months before we graduated, our teacher said, you know, you can start to practice now outside in the real world, because you have enough knowledge now that you can start to practice working with other people. And before you graduate, you also have to put in a certain amount of time and hours in a student clinic. And you also have to put in a certain amount of hours externally outside of the college. And that's before you graduate. And like I had an externship with a chiropractic office here in Pinole. And I got to work with a lot of people who were in pain. And that actually was how I found my niche. I actually knew what what my niche was going to be before I graduated, because of my externship placement. I got to work with a population of people that were in a lot of pain, and I got to not only did I get to practice massage, but I also got to, you know, sort of see how the practice and theory of massage has an impact on individuals in pain. Like, you know, it's one thing to have someone come in who's not really in pain, but you can still do a really good job on them, a good massage therapy session. But when someone's coming in with muscular pain, you really have the ability to impact that in a really positive way if you're willing to, you know, apply yourself and your skills, you know, and the techniques and modalities that you pick up while you're being trained to be a CMT. And like I said, it is my niche. You know, the business is called Pain Management Massage Therapy. So, I mean, I really couldn't be more explanatory about that. But I've really enjoyed my niche, and I'm really glad I found it before I even graduated. It helped me figure out where I was going to go with it, you know. And it also helped me figure out who I wanted to network with. That was really important, because if you know what your niche is, then you kind of know who you're going to want to contact with, you know, who you're going to want in your network if you have a network. And I do recommend you have a network. It's very important. Networking is important whether you're a client or a practitioner in anything, you know, that you're really doing. You have a network of friends. Like, you know, even everybody has a network of friends. And so in the professional world, I have found that it's very important to have a network of professional friends who are in related fields or even the same field, because you can talk and you can say, hey, what are you doing in this field? You know, what are you doing in this area? How are you, you know, I'm having issues in this department of my career. How do you tackle that? You know, maybe it's scheduling, maybe it's this or that, you know, it's a lot of different things out there. So it's been a real learning experience all the way through, really has. So. So the services that I offer it's pretty much a duration of time with me. I offer half hour, 1 hour, and hour and a half sessions. When people come in, you're going to have a consultation with me, and you will fill out an entry packet. And after the entry packet, I'll look it over, and I'll ask you why you're here. You know, what is your goal when you're here? What is it that what do you hope to achieve here? I mean, are you in pain? Are you not in pain? Are you looking for maintenance? Are you looking to address a specific issue? Do you have an injury? You know, is it a chronic injury? Is it an acute injury? In other words, is it something you've dealt with for a long time? Or is this something that has just come up this week? You know, these are the kinds of things I like to establish that during a consultation. I will ask my clients, you know, what brings you in today? I know that might sound silly coming from a massage therapist. You might think, because, you know, people would just think, oh, well, I'm going to go get a massage. It's simple. But, you know, if we're here, you know, in this niche that we're doing, this pain management, I mean, there are goals. We need to establish clear and present goals if we're going to have a good session for you. So that's very important. And those kinds of things, we kind of discuss those things during a little brief consultation when someone first comes in. And then, you know, recurring clients will also come in, and they'll fill out, you know, just a sign-in sheet, and if there's anything they need to indicate on a humanoid, they can. And we're always in contact. You know, I'll ask them how the work was last time. How did they feel about it? Was it lasting? You know, and shall we do the same thing today? Is something new going on? You know, are we moving into a maintenance program as opposed to addressing a painful issue? Because those things all are come into play when you're getting body work. I mean, it's just, these are things that you have to consider. So the services actually, as I said, it's a half an hour or an hour and a half session. If you come in for a half an hour, you're going to stay for an hour. If you come in for an hour and a half, you're going to stay for 2 hours. If you come in for an hour, you're going to stay for probably about an hour and a half. So, I tell my clients when they book online, which they actually have the ability to book in real time online, is that you can, decide what you want to get. But when you book online, if you're booking an hour, it has to fit in an hour and a half slot. So you just add an extra half an hour because we have consultation time, we have reception time, we have check-in, check-out. You might need to use the restroom. We're not just saying you don't just come right in and jump on the table. So we have 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after. So that's kind of why there's an extra. You'll find when you book online, it'll take up an extra half an hour of time than you booked, and so that's what that will look like on the schedule. So the services, in terms of the type of service, I'm trained in multiple modalities of massage therapy. I'm trained in myofascial therapy. I'm trained in shiatsu, Thai, Swedish, deep tissue, just to name a few. There are several kinds of other modalities that sort of that I also am trained in, like trigger point techniques and things like that, active range of motion, passive range of motion. These are all things actually that I use in, as well as stretching. These are things that I use as tools in my tool belt. So what I do is I don't just have a menu that says, if you want a Thai massage, you can have a Thai massage. If you want a Swedish massage, I just have Swedish. No, those are actually, during the course of our consultation, in my mind, I'm actually thinking about which styles and modalities that we're going to need to incorporate with you based on what your needs are, what your goals are. If you want something that tends to be a more relaxing massage, if you're really in for like a more relaxation type of massage, then I would probably do a bit more of a Swedish, where it's like sort of lighter, it's less strenuous. Than someone who's coming in with a really stressed out, overworked, tensed up muscle, that just really needs to be addressed. Then sometimes we tend to have to work deeper. So that tends to be a little bit more deep work with like trigger point type work and then some stretching incorporated. But these are the kinds of things that when I'm doing a consultation with my client, in my mind, I'm already thinking about what we're going to be doing. Like, okay, well, based on what you've told me, it sounds like we're going to probably be doing deeper work. We're going to incorporate some stretches, probably incorporate some trigger point work, probably incorporate some myofascial therapy. You know what I mean? So these are things, as I said, being trained in multiple modalities, it's actually, you can use it to your strength even better if you want to use them as tools in your tool belt. That's why I don't really believe in having a menu here. You won't see a menu here because the work, it will adapt to your needs. So that's actually how I work here. Well, I think what made me choose my current business location here in Pinole was that I grew up in the town right next door in El Sobrante, and you tend to, when you build a practice that relies on people in the area, you tend to want to usually have a practice close to home. And when I first started here, this kind of was home. I lived in El Sobrante. I grew up in El Sobrante a long time, and I've lived in the surrounding cities and towns. So my practice, at the time that I started my practice, I was just living in the next town over. And so I started my practice here in Pinole. And I don't regret doing it at all because I love that, as I said, I love the people in this area. The East Bay area is great. It's just a great group of people, like a lot of working class folks who are down to earth, very nice people. We have good folks in the area, people who are raising their kids and doing the best they can, working their jobs. And, I've got clients who work in San Francisco and live here. So they're commuting all day, they're stuck in traffic, and, it's amazing to see the sacrifices that people make for their families. And I'm happy to assist in the capacity that I can. So it's nice to be able to, you know, I see people, you know, they just crossed the bay from San Francisco, and you know, they're tech jobs and they're exhausted, and you know, and they're so happy to see me at that point. So it's kind of a win-win. So that works out really well. So this is a really a good question, because I've used a lot of, we were just talking about this, how we live in such a technological time, and we were discussing marketing earlier, and the power of marketing and how it's changed. Media has changed, and just the fact that we're doing a video right now is an indicator that, you know, this is a YouTube nation. This is the world that we live in. And you know, we used to be a radio nation, and now we were a TV nation, and now we're a flat screen nation, and we're a tablet nation, and we're a smartphone nation, and everyone's on YouTube. And so these things all come into play, even when you're a massage therapist. And so that's why I do have videos and things like that. And I do use Yelp. I do have a paid service through Yelp, and I have a commercial on Yelp, actually. And I have noticed that it has been an excellent form of marketing, and it has it's caught a lot of people's attention who were looking for me just at the right time, and I was looking for them at the right time. And these kinds of things, you know, video media connects people. It connects people. It makes our world smaller, and it helps us find each other faster and more efficiently, and what we're looking for. And so those things are all very, very important. Another thing that I found was really, really useful was utilizing just online booking. And I found a program that my clients can book me in real time online. And they do. And so my phone notifies me whenever someone rebooks me online. And so my phone, even though I'm off work, you know, in the evening, my phone might alert me to 3-4 people that have booked me for the week. So that's really, really powerful. That is a very powerful tool. I highly recommend it to anybody who is in a service industry. You know, you want to give your clients the power to book themselves because they ultimately know their own schedule better than you. Save yourself the time, you know, of going over schedules together. They can just do it themselves. Say, look, this is what I'm available at, you know. And people will do it, you know, and it's not that hard. There are programs out there where it's really not that hard to do now. And so I love the fact that my clients can book me in real time online, and it happens every day. And it's a great technology. It's a great tool to use for your practice. I highly recommend it to a lot of people. The one that I use is styleseat.com, and it's great. And the other marketing tool, as I said before, I use Yelp.com, and I have a commercial on Yelp. And you can look it up under Pain Management Massage Therapy in Pinole, California. If you wanted to look at my page on StyleSeat, you would just put in www.styleseat.com/ the name of my business, which is Pain Management Massage Therapy. With no spaces, you just put that in the address window, and then that will take you straight to my online scheduling. So you can also go to my homepage. I have a link on there, and it says, you know, book online, click here, and it takes you to the StyleSeat page. But the other page that's just my main, you know, that was actually the very first web page, is the one that you hear on the radio shows that I do, which is www.painfree.vpweb.com. And they're all connected, you know. I've got links from my pain-free page to my StyleSeat page or to my Yelp page, and you know, you want to have all these things interconnected, because when people want to, you know, if you're doing research on a massage therapist or anyone, you're going to want to have more information than you can get than less, so that you can make a good decision on something, you know, whether you want to see a practitioner or really anyone. So I've got at least 3 web pages out there. Oh, and I'm also forgetting LinkedIn. Who could forget LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is also a great way to reach out to not only the community, but other professionals. And other professionals reach out to me all the time on LinkedIn. So it's a great way to, as I said, you know, to establish your network. LinkedIn's a great tool for establishing your network. So those are some great tools that have been, technological tools that I've been able to utilize just as a massage therapist, just somebody who's in here working with oil on a table. You would think it's very low tech, but there's a lot of other stuff that's going on behind the scenes. That's what gets people to my door. Those are very, very important tools, and they're not to be taken lightly. They're valuable tools in this day and age. Very important. Know the fact that there are technological tools like online scheduling and then various websites that you can utilize to market yourself, like YouTube, LinkedIn, Yelp.com, just to name a few. I was also using Yodel.com, which was fantastic. I actually got to a point where I had to turn my advertising programs down because my influx of clientele was kind of large at one point. It was like the inflow was a little much for me. Not that I can't handle the big group, but if they're all, I don't need, it's crazy. It's a crazy great problem to have, but to have 10 or 15 new people in a week, that's a lot in one week for me. But, if I take, a few each week, that's great. So I just turn the flow down and everything works great now. So, but people continue to find me online and they keep coming. And as I said, the fact that technology has adapted in this day and age, 2018, here we are coming up on 2019 soon. The fact that technology is there to utilize to help you streamline your practice and make it run more smoothly. I mean, it's amazing. I don't even really need a receptionist at this point because my automated system, the system that my clients book online with, they get confirmation text messages and emails automatic. So, I mean, I could be doing a commercial right now for that. So, but I'm doing a commercial for me. But anyways, no, it's pretty amazing. So these are tools. They're out there just waiting for people to utilize. So it's very important. Ethical concerns. That's a very good question. I actually took my share of ethics class and morals class while I was going to school for this. Um, they they wanted, our teachers at school, there was a curriculum that they actually wanted to go over, and that was the fact that you are working with individuals who are coming in and they're disrobing and they're going to be in a very vulnerable position because your client is not wearing any clothes. Of course, they'll be under a blanket and a sheet, also known as a drape. And it's important also to convey to your client, that you will be covered the whole time, and that to keep for your safety and for the practitioner's safety. And a lot of that stuff you tend to want to put in the paperwork of what they're going to be expecting during a session. That's important. And you also want to ask them if they have any questions before an appointment, a session as well. But ethical and moral concerns were addressed in school. And it was important, because people would say things like, what happens if your client behaves inappropriately, or what happens if this happens or that happens, and the teachers had to tell you, that those are the times when you want to maintain your professionalism the most, because if something like that should happen, then you definitely you need to maintain your professionalism, and you got to convey right away to your clients, But I've never, to be honest with you, I have not had a lot of trouble with that because of my paperwork and because of how I conduct my business. If you conduct yourself in a professional manner, you usually don't end up dealing with a lot of ethical and moral problems. But they can arise, and you should be ready for them if they do. But as I said, it was covered in class, and so it's not a shock necessarily if something like that ever does come up in your practice. Also, I might be a little bit more fortunate being a male. I have talked with female practitioners who I know who have it's a completely different experience from their perspective, and it's definitely something you take day by day, but my best advice would be to make sure that you have everything in place so that people understand that this is a professional office that you're coming to. As I said before, I had mentioned before that a lot of the first probably 10 years or so here in this particular office, I actually had this office more set up to look like a doctor's office, and I worked in medical scrubs just to make sure I was conveying that this is a very professional setting. So those, you can do things like that as well, you know, you want to curb some of that. But, you know, ethical concerns, there's not really, you know, in terms of like in a one-on-one basis with me working with my client, my mindset when I'm working with my client is I'm trying to work for their greater good, their highest possible good, and I'm trying to help them to heal from a problem or to overcome an issue that gives them trouble. Or I'm helping them to maintain their body in a healthy, professional way. And those are very important things. You know, you want people to come in right away and understand, you know, that this is a professional establishment. I actually, I think that it's it's been very advantageous for me to be in the niche of pain management because I believe that it has really set me apart from a lot of the individuals who practice in this area. There are not a lot of massage therapy offices who, or practitioners who really advertise themselves as, you know, dealing in the niche of muscular pain or pain management. And that has, to this very day, has carved out an excellent path for me and my business and my practice. And I would like to see more massage therapists go into that niche. I've actually seen other massage therapists who are really hesitant and unsure to work with someone who is in muscular pain. And for me, after I've been doing this for so long, I'm just thinking, you know, I think to myself, you know, this is, you know, this is what we need to be doing. This is where we need to be, is in this industry, in this niche, is working with pain, you know, people who are in pain. Because when we do that, by working with people in this particular niche, this is where we really, really show how powerful that our modality is. This is where we really, really shine. So when I'm talking to clients and I tell them to come in for regular maintenance, you know, I'll tell them do that. But if you experience an injury, come and see me for that, because that's where I shine. You know, that is where I excel, is helping you with a muscular injury. I can also, you know, maintenance is excellent as well. Everybody needs maintenance. But I do tell them, you know, if you're suffering from a muscular injury, call me. Come on in. You know, let's get you on the table, because that's where that's really when I shine. Yes, when I first started out, I was fortunate enough to have someone who was willing to be a mentor to me at the time. Her name was Sue Devereaux, and she was a CMT here in California, right here in Pinole. And she had been practicing for, I think, about 12 years when we first met. And I met her through a chiropractor that I was interning with, and he had known her. And so again, there's the network that it starts to build. So that was how I met her, and she was excellent as a massage therapist. She was really very good at what she did, and she was one of the better ones that I had known about in this area. And I was very fortunate to get to know her. And she was nice enough to let me start to slowly work out of her office, you know, 1 or 2 days a week, just so I could start, you know, building my practice and things like that. And she also imparted a lot of really good wisdom and knowledge to me, especially about self-care and not overworking yourself, because it's been, you know, it's very, very common knowledge among massage therapists that, you know, you really don't want to get hurt. Like that's really the main concern, that's the main fear of a massage therapist, because if you get hurt, then you can't work. And one of the things I liked about Sue was that she was always very, very adamant about not overworking. She would only see, you know, X amount of people, and that was it for her, you know, per day. And she knew what her capabilities were, and she knew not to exceed them. And I learned a lot from that, because I decided, you know, I would rather, you know, feel like I almost, you know, I would rather, you know, I wanted to be in it for the long haul, is really what I think it came down to. And I wanted to be past that. When I was in school, they talked about, the average lifespan of a massage therapist was like 5 years, because they usually would go out due to a back injury or like a hand, wrist, arm issues, carpal tunnel syndrome, etc. And these things were not things that I wanted to end my career. And it was also, I was also very aware of these things as well, because incidentally, 1 year after graduating from my college, the classmates that I graduated with, within 1 year, none of them were practicing anymore in terms of as a career. I was the only one that was still around and still standing and practicing. And so it made me want to be that much more successful for my classmates who, for various reasons, had not been able to succeed. And it motivated me to really do well in this field. And so I try and be successful for them too, because I know they had a love and a passion for it. And it was just circumstances that happened, maybe someone got pregnant, or, someone went to work at a spa and got overworked and underpaid, or, whatever. So there was a lot of different things going on there. But working for myself and working in this niche, I've been very fortunate and very blessed that I have had a very good run at doing this. And I don't have there's no signs of me stopping anytime soon. I really enjoy doing this. I want to do this until I really can't do it anymore, But I'm thinking old age. Wow, that's quite a question. To what do I attribute my success? I think that my success has been a variety of a lot of different happy coincidences and events, chains of events. From the time that I was working at a corporation and in a cubicle, and coming across an individual who would end up, talking me into going to look at a massage therapy school one night, and all the way to when I graduated and I ended up landing in an externship with someone who, to this day, 12 years later, is a very good friend of mine. And he was also a mentor. He was a chiropractor, and I got to learn how to work with active range of motion working with him. And I also was exposed to people who were in muscular pain, and that was great. And so there was all these kind of happy turns of events that sort of steered me, even though I didn't realize I was going down a certain path. I mean, there was a general idea of what I was doing, but it was interesting, because the more I stayed on the path, the more the path narrowed for me. And it just kind of, it unfolded that way for me. But also I was a willing participant. I was kind of like, okay, universe, let's see where this takes me, and I did always kind of have the idea of, I want to be useful in this world. I want to find an occupation that I can be useful in, and I can help my fellow man and do a good job doing it, and make I tell my nieces and nephews, try and leave this planet a little better than when you found it. And I try and do that one client at a time. So, but I think just all of those factors, and also being open to where the universe wants to put you, where you need to find your place in this world, where you're needed. Those things are important, and they should be on your mind when you're trying to find out what you want to do with your life. And I think that all of those things just kind of came into play, and they snowballed, and they contributed to my success. And to this day, I do feel like I am successful, and I'm every day I'm grateful for it. I try and have an attitude of gratitude for it. But I always remember the people who led me along the way, and there was a lot of them. And there were, I don't think anything happens by accident. I really don't. And I think that's exactly why I'm here. I'm here right where I need to be. That's kind of my take on it. I would just, I honestly would just recommend to young individuals who are looking for a career to dream. Some people don't dream anymore. You hear a lot of people talking about, the American dream, but what we need to do is we need to just focus on dreaming about what we'd like to see our future to be. I think I've encountered people who I don't think dream about their future. And that's important, because if you don't have a dream, then you can't bring it into reality. And that's extremely important. So my advice to viewers in regards to pursuing your dreams is to first have a dream. And if you don't have a dream and you don't know, where that's going to be, just ask the universe, ask who you believe in, ask the powers that be, ask anything. Ask yourself, ask your higher self to step in and show me some guidance. Help me to, the higher self that you're not in touch with, or something like that. There's a lot of different things, but for me, I was just kind of I just kind of threw it out to the universe, and I was just like, let's like I said, I want to see, where do I belong? Help me find my place in this world. It's very important. Like, if you echo that out into the universe, I think you're bound to get an answer eventually. Pursuing dreams can lead to big business, and that's really good. If you have an aspiration to build a business, I would say stick with it. I would say don't be afraid to think outside the box, because sometimes if you think you're going to build a business one way, you may actually find that you weren't meant to build it that way, and you were meant to build it another way, and you need to be open to that. And sometimes it's not always the way that you think it's going to go, but there is usually a path for you. You just have to be really open to it. And you also have to, I think, be aware when something is not supposed to, transpire, or take place. Or, if you're trying to get into, if you're going, pushing really hard for this one angle on your business, and you can't seem to get it, you need to also be aware when maybe the universe is saying, hey, this isn't where you're supposed to go. You need to go this way and get, to achieve your goal, or to get you need to shift your business a little. So I would definitely recommend dreaming. Yes, extremely important. First, the dream. And then also, secondly, don't be afraid to, if you hit a wall while you're running your business, and you will, if you hit a wall when you're running your business, just go around the wall. Find out where the wall leads, and find the corner and turn the corner. That's my advice. So anyways, that's probably the best advice I would say,